Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NIBM Global Webinar. Today we are going to speak about one of the multivariate, we are going to give an intro into what is called a multivariate technique in research methodology called factor analysis. Now, what is factor analysis? The factor analysis is basically an observation, or analysis to identify that you will have patterns in your observed variables, because there is some kind of a latent factor which is underlying under each of the set of observations that you have. To put it in a simpler sense, like for example, if you are trying to go find out or learn about how well a particular bank is providing customer service. Now you have several factors, you'll be asking several statements, like for example, you'll be asking about interest rate offered by this bank is probably good. Or how do you feel about the interest rate offered by the bank? Or you might also ask a question on how do you think are the charges of this bank? Or how do they charge for different services that they give? Or you might ask a question about what is the charge regarding pre-closure or how do you feel about the pre-closure terms of this particular bank. Or there might be a set of questions on whether how friendly the staff are in the in the bank, or how helpful are the staff towards us. Now if you see this, there are underlying patterns in this particular set of questions, and if you are happy in general about the way they have priced the product, your answers to the first set of questions, as I told you, in terms of interest rate, in terms of pre-closure charges, in terms of service charges, all those things would be pretty similar. You would be rating based on the rating scale, you'll be putting it somewhere around 4, 5, and so on and so forth. Now, the second set would probably be again similar, because that comes under what is called how well the staff are giving you service. So you are trying to identify or explore is the term to use, because you have what is called an exploratory factor analysis to identify patterns in your initial sense. Now, there are two types of analysis. One is called factor analysis, one is called cluster analysis. The methodology is similar, but how they use it is totally different. Like for example, cluster analysis is applied in a place where you want to group your customers into different groups, because you know that in between customers there are similarities, there are that's why the whole concept of segmentation is existing in market at all. There are some kind of similarities. It can be in terms of demographics, it can be in terms of beliefs, it can be in terms of lifestyle, it can be socio-economic background, and so on and so forth. So you can categorize people into segments because there is similarity existing between them. So cluster analysis basically tries to identify that grouping which basically tries to group customers into several clusters, while factor analysis is grouping the variables, like as I told you, in case of you are ending up with a set of latent variable. Probably you have gone out with a set of 20-25 questions, and you are coming out with a set of latent variables like say your price, customer service, facility, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So as research methodology or management research has its origin from what is called the field of medical sciences or discipline of medical sciences. I mean, most of the technology tests that we are using today have their origin from what is called the medical sciences. So factor analysis also had its origin from the field of medical sciences. Now, how it works, take for example, at initial years, you have a doctor sitting and you have several patients coming to him. Now, the first patient will come and tell him that I have got A, B, and C symptoms. Now, the doctor notes down, he says patient 1, and then he says symptoms A, B, and C. And then the second patient comes in, and then the doctor again says the patient again says he has D, E, and A symptom. Okay, and then so on and so forth. You have 100 or 1,000 people coming to the doctor, and you have got a whole list of a set of people with different sets of what is called your symptoms. Now, what happens with this list, you can correlate between the symptoms. Like for example, you can see how many people who has reported symptom A are likely to have symptom B as well. How many people who have reported A and B are likely to show C as well. So if A, B, C and D goes together, you can put it together as or you can put all these variables together or symptoms together and identify the underlying problem out of it. Like for example, if you're talking about several people are reporting cold or you call it running nose, high temperature and probably sneezing, you put it as something like say fever. So you are trying to identify the underlying problem rather than just the variable output. So this is what factor analysis was used for then. Now today in management research, your application of factor analysis is to identify or extract such underlying latent variables based on patterns of response from customers. Now you can do it in two levels. You can do it in what is called your exploratory level and find out or bring out this particular pattern. Now since it is, as I told you, it is basically talking about correlation, you cannot find out what is your independent variable or dependent variable. Here you have to go by what is called this. If this factor happens or this variable comes, the other will also be there, or all these variables together can be put under one latent variable. You can say that. Now, this will help you to extract what is called your factors, and then you can confirm this factor using what is called a confirmatory factor analysis, which is a higher level. You can confirm this, you can identify if this is in conformity what is on what is being actually done. So for which you have a methodology called CFA or confirmatory factor analysis. Thank you.